We begin this hour with the explosive allegations leveled at the Prime Minister's office from the lawyer representing Senator Mike Duffy. Donald Bain says the PMO not only approved Duffy's expenses all along, but orchestrated a cover-up once the scandal over the expenses got heated. Those allegations were the focus of question period, which just wrapped up, and the CBC's Hannah Thibodeau is watching all of this in Ottawa, and she joins me now. So before we get to question period, let's back up a little bit to that very interesting news conference a couple of hours ago. Begin by describing what Donald Bain is alleging.
Right, a 45-minute news conference held by the lawyer of Senator Mike Duffy. And what he essentially says in a nutshell is that the entire plan to pay back the $90,000, that's the $90,000 for inappropriate expenses that Mike Duffy had claimed, was hatched out of the Prime Minister's office. The lawyer says that Senator Mike Duffy was becoming a political liability for the Tories and the Tory base, so they asked for him to repay the money. Well, Senator Mike Duffy, the lawyer says, wasn't a wealthy man. He didn't have the $90,000 to pay it back, and he decided to say, no, I can't do that. And what else he said is that I went to you guys, to the top leaders in the Conservative Party, and asked if I met my residency requirements. And what the lawyer did was go through a list of people and emails that Senator Mike Duffy had spoken with about his residency requirements. So first, when he was appointed as a senator back in 2008, he went to the Senate leader, who was Marjorie Le Breton at the time, and asked her if he met those residency requirements. In the email, it says that he did meet those residency requirements. We have had Marjorie Le Breton say in the past that she didn't have problems with his residency requirements. She had problems with his expenses, but his lawyer was dealing strictly with the residency requirements today. Then in December 2012, he went to Nigel Wright, the Prime Minister's former chief of staff, and Nigel Wright also said in an email, I'm told you have complied with the rules. Several other senators have similar claims. So Mike Duffy saying, why do I have to pay this money back? But he was becoming a political hot potato when it came to the Prime Minister's office. Things started to get heated, and here's what Nigel Wright told him.
Then Nigel called tonight. He was expansive, saying we, the PMO, have been working on lines and a scenario for you that would cover all of your concerns, including cash for repayment.
So what's really interesting out of that statement, it says, we, the PMO, have been working on lines and cover concerns about cash repayment. Who exactly is the we? That's not crystal clear at this point in time, and that's the type of questions that they are asking in question period. But also, Senator Mike Duffy says he was told by the Prime Minister's office to not talk to Deloitte auditors. And if he didn't comply with the scenario, with paying back the cash, that he would be booted from the Senate, and it would be the two senators in the standing committee for the internal economy, which was Senator David Tkachuk, who was the chair, as well as Senator Carolyn Stewart-Olson, who would come out and say, we looked at this, we trumped, and they would trump the Deloitte report and said, we looked at this, you don't meet the residency requirements, get out.
All right, so all of this was the talk of question period, almost exclusively the only topic talked about. How did this all go down?
Well, you could tell that the Prime Minister wasn't really happy to be answering these questions. However, I'm told that when he didn't have to answer the questions, he looked relaxed there. But the first question, kicked off by Megan Leslie in the House of Commons today, she asked the Prime Minister, essentially, was Senator Mike Duffy threatened to be kicked out of the Senate if he didn't comply with the scenario and the rules set out by his staff in the Prime Minister's office? So take a listen to what happened in question period.
Mike Duffy's lawyer today spoke at length and provided lots of new details. According to him, documents from the PMO outline how this involved, quote, cash for repayment. Can the Prime Minister confirm that his office threatened to kick Mike Duffy out of the Senate if he didn't go along with their scheme?
The right honourable Prime Minister. clear that we expect all parliamentarians to respect the letter and the spirit of any rules regarding expenses, and if they do not respect that, they can expect there to be consequences and accountability for their actions. Mr. Speaker, I will just say this. I've noticed, obviously, Mr. Speaker, the NDP's instant opposition to the Canada-Europe trade deal. And I guess, Mr. Speaker, the reason we see them asking these kinds of questions is because on the big issues, they're wrong.
Two interesting points to make out of the Prime Minister's response there. The first, he didn't deny that the issue that she brought up, that Senator Mike Duffy was threatened to get kicked out of the Senate if he didn't comply with what the Prime Minister's office was asking him to do. And secondly, he tried to change the channel as well, desperately trying to talk about the trade deal that happened last week with the European Union. And finally, when it comes to the suspension motions that have been put forward in the Senate, this is suspension without pay for Senator Mike Duffy. His lawyer says that they will likely legally challenge this. But also there's the question of charges. And what we're hearing as well, when it comes to charges, the RCMP have been spending the whole summer and into the fall looking and investigating charges. And we do know that it's getting closer to some form of determination either for or against charges in these cases.
And that will be interesting to find out. Lots to follow. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Hannah. The CBC's Hannah Thibodeau in Ottawa.